Divorce lawyers of Reddit. What's the most outrageous reason someone filed for divorce? My dad was a divorce lawyer. He had a client who wanted to divorce her husband for 2 reasons. He did not have enough hair on his chest. He did not drive fast enough. Keep in mind this was in the 70s when chest hair was a bit more important. Yeah, it would have been embarrassing to show up late at a pool party and your man not having a decent chest bush. Wow. Failed exorcisms. Client had an inner ear condition that caused chronic vertigo, but symptoms could be treated with medication. Husband was an evangelical who was convinced his wife, 1, had become possessed and that her vertigo and general crankiness with his methods were evidence of demonic possession. 2, the medication she was taking was enabling the devil to hide inside her. And 3, the only proper recourse was exorcism. He would hide her meds until she got dizzy and then try various methods of exorcism. This included sweating it out, put under blankets while incapacitated and locked in a room full of space heaters, freezing it out, pretty much the reverse with AC fans and bags of ice, surprising it out. He would jump out and scare her like it was the hiccups, but instead of yelling boo, he would recite the Lord's Prayer or Psalms. The final straw was that he tried to surprise it out of her by pushing her down the stairs when they were heading out for dinner. This guy was some type of executive and they still went out to dinner after the stairs incident. She asked for the divorce at an Applebee's that night. I have often tried to picture that conversation as she was adamant that he was a total sweetheart and never acted out of malice or anger. Yeah, I'm gonna doubt that one. My aunt was dating an unemployed dude for a while. He was staying in her house rent-free. They got married and were getting ready to go on the honeymoon when the new husband tells her he's not going because he has to take care of his plants at the big house. Big fight. Aunt goes on the honeymoon with her sisters instead. She comes home and tries to kick him out of her house. He refuses to leave. She tries to get the police involved. Dude is live streaming on Facebook how he is being trapped in his own home. Please tell my aunt there is basically nothing they can do. Can file for eviction after a divorce. Dude gets to live in her house with his precious plants for like 3 months until everything legally gets worked out. Why would she opt to marry a person like him? He was very diligent about watering the plants. Paralegal here. There's so many crazy divorces and divorce will bring out the absolute worst in couples. When thinking of reasons a divorce started, this one stands out to me the most. At my last firm, we did general law, which included probate. A couple did their will with our firm. We drafted everything. They were mid-70s to early 80s, married 40 years total, divorced and remarried once. Husband wanted us to put it in his will that his kids get his entire estate, but did not want us to tell his wife. He wanted to have us make a secret will and a fake will. The fake will would be signed with her present, and then he wanted us to shred it and he will come in later to sign the real will. He copied his wife on the email that had all of this information disclosed in it. 2 weeks later, he called us and said he wanted to file for divorce instead. Yeah, okay, that will do it. Bonus one, a previous client was pissed his wife was cheating on him. She wanted a non-consented divorce and wanted to use my boss specifically because she knew he was a great lawyer. He pretended to go along with her terms and contacted us literally 2 days before his wife and retained us. He said he didn't care how much money the retainer was, but wanted my boss so his wife couldn't have him as a lawyer. He called and paid first, so he won that battle. Kind of in the same category. I've had a lot of younger male potential clients come in for divorce consults with their mother. Then, during the consult, the mother does 98% of the talking and it's clear who actually wants the divorce. I'll usually escort mom to wait in the lobby while I talk to the son directly, and most of the time he's just there to appease his mother. On a related note, I once had just the mother call for a consult because she said explicitly she wanted her son to get a divorce. I politely informed her that's not how divorces work. How many of those guys actually buckle to mom's pressure and go through with the divorce? None that I've met so far. When I oust mom from the room and speak with them directly, I make it clear that it is their decision on whether to not proceed with a divorce. None of them have wanted to, though I have recommended a few good marriage counsellors to the 1 or 2 that are actually having marital issues and not in-law issues. I'm actually really glad to hear that. Yeah, me too. That's a little light at the end of the tunnel. Paralegal. A couple got divorced over a cat. Wife called cat Snowball because of white fur and only wanted the cat to eat wet food or chicken breast. Husband called cat Lily again because of white fur and believed it should only eat dry food. These two argued for a year over custody of the cat, but did not give a sh about their human kids aged 15 months, 4 years and 6 years old. That's sad. My aunt had a case where the wife had glued all of the outdoor hoses together so he wouldn't spend more time washing his vehicle anymore. When the glue didn't work, she just cut them all up. When he bought new ones, she filed for divorce. Wow. I think that might have been the last straw. My 90-year-old client, the husband, and his son retained me to initiate divorce proceedings with his 88-year-old wife. They'd been married 60 years. The wife had recently taken to beating him with his own cane because their daughter poisoned her into thinking he was hiding money from them. The battle came down to husband and son versus wife and daughter. At their first court appearance, my client showed up in an old 1950s style pinstripe suit and fedora. He was a farmer his whole life, and this was clearly the only suit he owned. He was such a meek and lovely old gentleman. I had to pass my client onto a new lawyer midway through the proceedings because I accepted a job in a different country, but I understand the divorce was eventually granted. This one hurts. Imagine spending that much of your life with someone and then it breaks. 60 years is no joke. I would have been devastated. 60 years is insane. College handled a case where money was not an issue, but the kids were. Neither parent wanted them. My mom worked in abuse and neglect counselling and juvenile justice. There are a lot more cases like this than I care to admit. Parents divorce and neither side wants the kid. Some of them are that neither side wants a kid but will fight over another kid. It ends up totally screwing them over because they have to live with the fact that their parents didn't want them. That is brutal. When I clerked for a judge, we had a week-long divorce trial between a couple. The husband was a wildlife photographer and the wife was a stay-at-home wife, no kids, who helped remodel the home. Anyway, husband was mauled by a grizzly bear he was photographing, spent several months in the hospital and rehab and was served papers shortly after getting out, now without an eye and with severe scarring on his face and side. She wanted half of everything, the non-scarred half at least. What? Not a divorce lawyer, but I had a friend whose parents divorced for irreconcilable differences over time spent playing EverQuest. In my game design class, it was referred to as Evercrack. In EverQuest, it's referred to as Evercrack. Between EverQuest and WoW, I had some lame college years, but sure saved a lot of money. My grandfather's brother was a judge who presided over state-issue marriages from time to time. One couple he married returned 6 months later to confirm the wedding and end their trial marriage, when he thusly informed them that there was no such thing and that they had been married for 6 months. They subsequently broke up. That sounds nutty, but if you believed your significant other when they told you trial marriages were a real thing, the betrayal could very easily end a marriage. A trial marriage, nah. I didn't like her anymore 2 days after being married. In sickness and in health, till disinterest do you part. My cousin did this at 3 months after her parents had paid out $20,000 for the wedding, early 80s. She told me years later that she realized it during the engagement but didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I told both my kids, feelings, if you want out, do it before it costs money. Yeah. This is more sad than outrageous, but some of my colleagues specialize in elder law, and more people than you'd think get divorced on paper in the US in order to receive medical benefits without having to lose their home. See this for example. I once knew a couple that never legally married because if they did, one of them would lose their disability benefits. The system doesn't always work. How does that make sense? She was kidnapped in Mexico and he refused to pay ransom. Eventually her family managed to pay and she was left on the side of the road. It is not outrageous as in petty, but outrageous as how absurd that is. To answer all these questions, I don't know how much they wanted as ransom, but it was substantial, as the conversation between her family and him was how he had it liquid and they had to liquidate investments to get that amount. She may have told me, she may not. Something in pesos, and I didn't know the conversion rate. It was all a random number to me. This happened about 7 years ago. He wasn't with her on the trip. She was traveling with cousins and went downstairs alone to get ice cream and wait for them to get ready. I do not know all the details. She was extremely distraught talking about it, and it was not necessary to pry. It was clearly traumatic, and even though I had a million more questions, I left it alone. Honey, I love you, but we agreed to save up money so we can purchase a house. Your ransom would really set us back. I don't really think I can add a ransom line item to this month's budget. Everything is already super tight. Now, honey, you know the family policy. We do not negotiate with terrorists. I'm an intern, but the judge I work for used to do divorce work. He has some crazy stories, but this one is probably the most outrageous, that the divorce was pretty justified. Every morning, this couple would sit in the bathroom together while one of them had their morning dump. One would sit on the toilet and the other on the rim of the bathtub. This particular morning, the wife was on the toilet and husband on the edge of the tub. They started to argue about their relationship, so the wife reaches down, pulls her tampon out and flings it at husband. I'm told the tampon stuck for a brief second to his forehead before sliding off. He filed for divorce that same day or the next. At first, I read this as one in the toilet while the other in the bathtub, as in they were both pooping simultaneously and rock, paper, scissors for who gets to use the toilet. I was so concerned. There's a lot of concerning things in that story. I knew a guy from a high school job who divorced his wife of 2 months because she would sleep with a nightlight, but he could only sleep in total darkness, as they apparently never lived together until after getting married. He hated her nightlight so much that he would often sleep on the couch instead, but sometimes he would claim the bed for himself and lock her out of the bedroom for the night. This was an eccentric late 40s man working at a Burger King who acted like all the other high school co-workers were his best chums and often told us these weird stories. I'm glad I don't work with him anymore. He had an argument with the new in-laws during the wedding and moved out at around 5 AM during the first night. Knew a couple who were married for only a few hours. Bride's side of the family was being disrespectful to the groom's side at the reception. He brought this up on the way to the hotel after the reception, which caused a heated argument. Bride calls up her family, who arrived at the hotel and start a fight with the groom in the lobby. Groom called his side of the family as well. Hotel lobby turned into a screaming match field and they separated there and then. It was such an extravagant wedding. What a waste. I was a legal assistant when this case came in, but this lady divorced her husband of 2 months because he got her an iPad case for her birthday instead of the expensive jewellery she wanted. I dated a girl that didn't speak to me for a day or two because I got her an iPad instead of jewellery. Her reasoning was, because I could just use yours. I am glad that relationship is over. Man, I was going to say that our client was served divorce papers for sending a couple $100,000 overseas in a scam, but damn, you guys got better ones than me. It wasn't a couple of 100,000, but over $500,000 Australian dollars, emailing to a Baltic woman back and forth over a period of time, over which he sent the dollars totaling to the 500,000 plus, no video calling or anything, just emails. Damn, you are too stupid to stay married to.